The Vanishing Scroll. In the quiet coastal city of Eldhaven, where the sea whispered secrets to the cliffs every night, lived a man named Elias Thorn. He was 34, ordinary in every visible way, a mechanic who fixed boats by day, read old books by lamplight, and carried the weight of a life that felt unfinished. He had no grand titles, no followers, no spotlight. Yet for months, a strange restlessness had settled in his chest, like a bird trapped inside a rib cage beating to get out. One rainy Thursday evening in late autumn, Elias was alone in his small workshop above the harbor. The storm rattled the windows. He was cleaning grease from his hands when the lights flickered once, twice, then died completely. In the sudden darkness, the only sound was rain drumming on the tin roof. Then came the voice. It wasn't loud. It wasn't booming like thunder. It was calm, clear, intimate, as if someone stood inches from his ear. Elias, chosen one, this message will not last long. You must see this now. He froze, his heart slammed against his ribs. No one called him chosen. No one had spoken his full name like that in years. He spun around, expecting to see a stranger in the doorway. Nothing, just shadows and the faint glow of his phone screen on the workbench. The voice continued, soft but unyielding. I have watched you carry the burden in silence, the dreams you buried because the world called them foolish, the nights you prayed when no one answered, the moments you chose kindness when revenge would have been easier. I have not forgotten, but the window is closing. The season shifts tonight. If you do not see what I am showing you, the path will fade and another will be chosen in your place. Elias stumbled backward until his back hit the wall. His mouth was dry. Who are you?" he whispered. "You already know my name in your spirit, but names are not the point tonight. Obedience is. Look to the drawer beneath your workbench, the one you never open." His hands trembled as he knelt. That drawer had been sealed shut for over a decade. Inside were relics of a younger Elias, a faded journal from his teenage years, a silver pendant his mother had given him before she passed, and a single yellowed envelope he had never opened. He had found it slipped under his door the day after her funeral, addressed in her handwriting, "For when the time is right, do not open until you hear my voice again." He had waited years. No voice had come until tonight. With shaking fingers, he tore the envelope open. Inside was not a letter. It was a single sheet of parchment, ancient-looking, though impossible. The edges shimmered faintly, as though lit from within. Written across it in elegant, flowing script were words that made his breath catch. "To my chosen son, Elias Thorn, you were marked before your first breath, not for fame, not for riches, but for a single moment that will ripple through generations. Tonight the veil is thin. The enemy has already positioned distractions, fear, doubt, busyness, old wounds to keep your eyes averted. But I say to you, rise. Go to the Lighthouse on Widow's Point. Bring nothing but this scroll and your willingness. The message will vanish at dawn. If you delay, it will be gone forever. Trust me, I am with you." The parchment began to glow brighter, then softer, as though breathing. Elias felt heat radiate from it into his palms. He looked at the clock, 11:47 p.m. Dawn was roughly 6 hours away. He could stay. He could tell himself this was exhaustion, grief, imagination. He could go back to his quiet life, fix boats, pay bills, grow old safely. Or he could go. He grabbed his coat, tucked the scroll inside his shirt against his chest, and ran into the storm. The road to Widow's Point was treacherous, narrow, winding, half-flooded. Wind howled like it wanted to push him back. Twice, his old truck nearly slid off the cliff edge. Each time he whispered, "If this is real, help me." At 2:13 a.m., he reached the lighthouse. It had been abandoned for decades, its lamp long dark. Yet tonight, impossibly, a faint golden light pulsed from the lantern room at the top. Elias climbed the spiral stairs, legs burning, heart pounding. Rain lashed through broken windows. At the top, the door to the lantern room stood ajar. Inside, the light wasn't from any bulb. It came from a single figure, formless yet radiant, standing beside the ancient Fresnel lens. The voice returned, now both inside and outside him. "You came. Many are called. Few answer when the hour is late and the road is hard." Elias fell to his knees, tears mixed with rainwater on his face. "What do you want from me?" "Not what you can do, who you will become. The world is entering a season of great shaking. Many will lose hope. Many will turn to shadows. But you, I have prepared you in the hidden years to carry light, not for yourself, for them." In the shadowed embrace of Eldhaven, a forgotten jewel along the rugged Atlantic coast, where the ocean's relentless waves carved stories into ancient cliffs, lived Elias Thorn. At 34, he was a man sculpted by quiet endurance. Broad-shouldered from years wrenching life back into weathered fishing boats, his hands calloused maps of labor, his eyes a stormy gray that held the weight of unspoken regrets. Eldhaven was a town suspended in time, salt-crusted docks lined with vessels that whispered of better days, narrow cobblestone streets winding past faded Victorian homes, and a perpetual mist that blurred the line between sea and sky. Tourists rarely lingered. Locals clung to routines like lifelines against the tide of change. Elias's days unfolded with mechanical precision. By dawn, he was in his harborside workshop, the air thick with the scent of oil and brine. He mended engines, patched hulls, and exchanged nods with fishermen who shared his taciturn nature. Evenings found him in his modest apartment above the shop, poring over dog-eared volumes of philosophy and theology, remnants of a youthful curiosity that life had dulled but not extinguished. He had no family left. His mother, Clara, had passed a decade ago from a lingering illness, leaving behind a void he filled with solitude. Friends were few, scattered like driftwood, old schoolmates who'd moved on to brighter horizons. But lately, an undercurrent of unease stirred within him. Dreams plagued his nights, visions of a glowing scroll unfurling in the dark, words burning like embers before vanishing into smoke. He'd wake drenched in sweat, heart racing, whispering prayers to a God he wasn't sure still listened. "Why me?" he'd murmur into the void. "What am I missing?" The restlessness gnawed at him, a persistent ache like an old wound reopening in the rain. It was on a tempestuous Thursday in late autumn that the ordinary shattered. The storm announced itself with thunderous fury, winds howling like banshees as rain lashed the workshop windows. Elias was wiping grease from a stubborn bolt when the power surged and failed, plunging the room into inky blackness. Only the faint luminescence of his phone pierced the gloom, casting elongated shadows that danced mockingly. Then, the voice pierced the silence, not through the air, but resonating in his very core, as if woven from the fabric of his soul. "Elias Thorn, chosen one. This message will not last long. You must see this now." The words hung there, intimate and commanding, laced with an urgency that chilled him deeper than the storm. He bolted upright, tools clattering to the floor. "Who's there?" he demanded, voice cracking. He fumbled for a flashlight, sweeping its beam across the empty space. No intruder, no prankster, just the relentless patter of rain. The voice returned, undeterred, its timbre warm yet inexorable, like a father's gentle rebuke. "I have observed your hidden struggles, the dreams you entombed in doubt, the prayers uttered in the dead of night when silence was your only reply, the choices of mercy over malice, even when the world offered none in return.
I have not abandoned you, but the veil between realms thins only briefly. The hourglass turns. If you turn away now, this summons fades, and the mantle passes to another. Elias's knees weakened. He slumped against the workbench, mind reeling. Hallucination? Madness? Or something divine, as his mother had always believed. Clara had been a woman of unshakable faith, her Bible worn from constant touch, her stories of miracles shared like bedtime tales. God speaks in whispers, Elias, she'd say, but when he calls, you must listen with your whole being. Who are you? He rasped, barely audible over the gale. In your heart, you know my essence. Labels matter little, action defines all. Direct your gaze to the drawer beneath your bench, the one sealed by time and neglect. His pulse thundered as he knelt, prying open the rusted drawer with trembling hands. Dust billowed like ghosts released. Inside lay artifacts of a forsaken past, a leather-bound journal filled with his adolescent musings on destiny and purpose, the silver cross pendant Clara had pressed into his palm on her deathbed. For protection, my son. And, tucked beneath, a yellowed envelope. Her handwriting adorned it, for Elias when the voice returns, open only then. He'd discovered it the morning after her funeral, slipped under his door by an unknown hand. For years it had mocked him from its hiding place, a promise unfulfilled, a voice never heard, until tonight. With breath held, he slit the seal. No ordinary letter emerged, instead a parchment unfurled, its surface etched with an otherworldly sheen, as if stardust had been pressed into vellum. The script flowed like liquid gold. To my beloved chosen Elias Thorn, before the stars aligned your birth, I etched your name in eternity, not for earthly glory or fleeting wealth, but for a pivotal dawn that will echo through souls unborn. This night, the barrier weakens. Shadows conspire, fears grip, doubts whisper, the lure of comfort, scars of yesteryear, to blind you. Yet I command, arise. Journey to the lighthouse at Widow's Point. Carry only this scroll and an open spirit. The inscription endures but until first light. Hesitate, and it dissolves into oblivion. Trust in me. I walk beside you always.
As he read, the parchment pulsed with inner light, warming his skin like a hearth's glow. Elias glanced at his watch. 11:47 p.m. Dawn loomed in mere hours, a deadline etched in celestial ink. Doubt assaulted him like the storm outside. Was this delusion born of grief? A trick of isolation? He could seal it away again, return to the predictable rhythm of wrenches and waves. No one would know. Life would plod on, safe and unremarkable. But the warmth in his chest, the same he'd felt as a boy listening to Clara's tales, stirred rebellion. "If this is you," he whispered, "show me." He donned his rain-slicked coat, secured the scroll against his heart, and plunged into the night. The drive to Widow's Point was a gauntlet of peril. The coastal road twisted like a serpent, slick with rain, flanked by sheer drops to churning seas. Winds buffeted his battered truck, visibility reduced to mere feet in the deluge. Twice, hydroplaning tires skidded towards the abyss. Twice, Elias gripped the wheel, invoking silent pleas. "Guide me," he muttered through gritted teeth. Memories flooded him as he drove. Flashbacks to childhood Sundays in the pews, Clara's voice harmonizing hymns. The day his father abandoned them, leaving a boy to become the man of the house too soon. The quiet rebellion of his 20s, when faith waned under the grind of survival. Why believe in the unseen? He'd argued with himself. Yet here he was, chasing a voice in the void. At 2:13 a.m., the lighthouse loomed, a skeletal sentinel abandoned since the 70s, its once proud beams silenced by progress. Vines choked its base, windows shattered like broken promises. Yet tonight, an ethereal golden aura emanated from the lantern room, defying the blackout. Elias parked and ascended the exterior stairs, rain soaking him to the bone. The spiral interior climb was arduous,
rusty steps groaning underfoot, wind whistling through cracks like spectral warnings. His breath came in ragged gasps, legs protesting the strain. At the summit, the door creaked open on hinges long unused. The room was bathed in luminescence, not from machinery, but from a presence, a figure of pure radiance, humanoid yet fluid, like sunlight refracted through water. It stood sentinel by the massive Fresnel lens, cracked but intact. The voice enveloped him now, resonant and profound. You have arrived. Countless hear the call. Few brave the tempest to respond. Elias collapsed to his knees, awe mingling with terror. Tears streamed unchecked. What do you require of me? I'm no hero, just a fixer of broken things. Heroes are forged in obedience, not acclaim. The world teeters on a precipice of turmoil, wars unspoken, hearts fractured, light dimming under despair's shroud. In your unseen years I have honed you, patience in solitude, empathy in loss, strength in silence. Now you shall bear my flame to the forsaken. The luminous form extended an appendage of light. Unite the scroll with the lens. Hands unsteady, Elias complied. Contact ignited a cataclysm of brilliance, the room erupting in a cascade of colors, warm and invigorating, seeping into his veins like liquid fire. Visions assailed him in a torrent, a montage of humanity's hidden pains. He saw a child in a bombed-out alley, eyes hollow with hunger, an elderly woman in a sterile hospital, clutching faded photos, a young man in a bustling city, adrift in addiction's grasp. Then himself interwoven, extending a hand to the child, offering words that mended the woman's spirit, guiding the man towards redemption. He witnessed chains breaking, hope igniting like wildfires, his voice carrying prophecies that shifted destinies. As abruptly as it began, the visions receded. The scroll disintegrated into luminous particles, swirling upward and dissipating through the roof into the night sky. The presence intoned its farewell. The ephemeral message is imparted. It shall not recur thus, yet my presence endures eternally. Descend now, embody the visions. Dawn heralds your rebirth. Solitude reclaimed the room. The storm abated, stars emerging like tentative witnesses. Elias descended, each step lighter, as if burdens had been shed. Morning broke over Eldhaven, the town stirring unchanged. Elias returned to his workshop, but he was transformed. Subtle shifts manifested. He lingered in conversations, offering encouragement where once he'd been curt. He visited the overlooked, a meal for the homeless fisherman, a listening ear for the widow next door. Weeks turned to months. Whispers spread. Elias has changed. Opportunities arose unbidden, a speaking invitation at the local church where his words on faith and uncertainty drew crowds, aid missions to distant shores where his hands healed more than machines. Challenges came too, doubts resurfaced, temptations to retreat, but the memory of that night anchored him. Years later, in a world reshaped by his quiet influence, communities mended, lives redirected, Elias would reflect on that stormy eve. Gathered around him, mentees would press, "How did you know your path?" With a serene smile, he'd reply, "Because God whispered a message that wouldn't linger, and in choosing to heed it, I discovered eternity in a single step." And so, the echoes of that call rippled outward, a testament that even in the ordinary, the divine awaits the willing heart. If this tale stirs something within you, perhaps your own vanishing message hovers near, urgent, fleeting, yours to claim before the dawn.